How many construction projects can a construction project manager manage? So you'll learn how many projects is actually realistic to oversee in construction. This is actually not very often or frequently talked about, and it's like one of the biggest considerations for a project manager. So you're going to want to stay with us. We're going to show you a productivity study that's going to blow your mind and tell you exactly how many projects you can oversee and what you can do if you're overseeing too many. Maybe you're just jamming out in a position, you have a whole bunch of projects and you're like, what can I do? Well, we're going to tell you right now, you came to the right place. The only thing I would say is if you like and subscribe and comment, you'll have a better experience. Go ahead and do that right now. Okay, let's go. So let's talk about this right now. I learned this in a killer class. I got to do a shout out right now. My brother, Felipe Engineer, and the organization that he works with, scrum.org, I did a Scrum Master training, which was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I learned about these studies in that class. I've said before and I'll say it again, I really didn't know scheduling and productivity until I learned Scrum. And this study showcases the effects of context switching, meaning you've got a project. When you switch your mental focus from a project to a project, you have what's called context switching. So you have like 15 to 45 minutes of changing your focus. Now, if I was like, right now, I want to stop talking to the camera and I want to look down here at my notes, I mean, that takes like a couple seconds. That's not what I'm talking about. But if I was like, I want to review a submittal on this project and now I want to review a submittal on this project, that's 15 to 45 minutes minimum, if not hours. So the amount of time loss, productivity loss because of context switching is staggering. And this study is from Gerald and Weinberg in 1992 in the reference Quality Software Management Systems Thinking. Dorset House, page 284. There's the reference for you. In this study, it showed that if a leader, and specifically in this case a project manager, has one project, they can have a 100% focus on that project and not have any productivity loss from context switching from one focus to another, unless they do it with the micro activities. But from a project standpoint, no production loss going from one to another. If they have two projects, they split their focus into two segments, and the study shows they're at 40% with 20% waste from context switching. If they have three projects, their focus time goes into three segments, 20-20-20, with a productivity loss of 40%. And the pattern continues when you have four projects, the wasted time is 60%. And at five projects, you're at 5, 5, 5, 5, and 5 with a productivity loss of 75%. It's insane. By the time you get to 6, 7, 8, 9 projects, you basically are not supervising those projects. You're so spread thin at that point, so much context switching, you're not actually managing those projects. Not only did you not have the 25% of focus time per project, not 25%, but 5 for each project, but now it's been reduced for projects above 6. And those, I do want to be clear, those are for simultaneous projects. And so this is a massive problem. So in my opinion, we really only can manage 1 to 3 projects in construction effectively. Now, if you're on a large project, obviously that's 1 or 2, preferably 1. If you are doing multiple homes or, custom home builds or multifamily, or you do small renovations or you do civil projects, I'm still sticking with my 1 to 3. I know that a lot of folks have more than that. I would never go above 5. In fact, I have never in my 25-year career ever seen a project manager with 6 or more projects and have it land in anything but disaster. And I actually have some data to prove it. In one company specifically, they track the success of each of their projects. And I remember going to a company where one PM had 9 projects, was so spread thin, most of them were failing. That was the first thing we fixed when we started working with that company. So when you have too many projects, let me just say what happens. So number 1, you're victim to email. Number 2, you're always distracted. Number 3, you have back-to-back meetings. Number 4, you can never get anything done. And at the end of the day, you've got a to-do list so high you don't go home on time. Then you piss off your family, and you really create an environment where you're not taking care of your health or your family. And then that starts to decline. You feel like you're not successful at work, and everything starts to spiral. That frantic, always behind the 8 ball, stressed out, can't get ahead of life circumstance is specifically from context switching, meaning you're losing anywhere from 1 to 4, sometimes even 6 hours a day just by having multiple projects. So we need to talk about what we can do about it. The other thing I'd say, one thing you can do right now is like and subscribe to this video. If you love me, if you love this content, if you're like, dang, this is so helpful, if I have proven to be a profitable servant to you at any time in the past, please like and subscribe to this video. It helps us scale the content and you get cool videos in the future, like I promised. And by the way, I just want you to know, if I can stand for literally 8 to 12 hours a day in a recording studio and exhaustingly do these videos, you can subscribe to the video. So there's a challenge for you. I dare you to hit that button. Okay, let's go. What can we do about it if you have too many projects? Well, number one, you can get enough help. So you need to have people, running point superintendents or foremen on each project, running boots on the ground with the right information. You will want the right communication systems, visual communication systems and verbal communication systems to quickly talk to those persons. I would, if I was a project manager, I wouldn't rely only on email. I would have a WhatsApp chat with each of those field superintendents or foremen, and I would have a visual board, probably on Miro if it's me, but in whatever format you like, to where I could constantly post real-time information so they had it at a glance. The other thing I would do, if I had 5 projects, I would plan my weeks to where I'm time blocking these efforts, meaning for the most part, as much as I could, pending any changes, I would plan every week to where like Monday I could spend most of the day on project A, Tuesday most of the time on project C, Wednesday most of the time on project B. You're probably like, Jason, I can't do that all the time. Well, do the best you can. The less context switching you have where you're switching tasks and projects, and the more focused time you have for one piece flow and one process flow, the better off you're going to be. The next thing you're about to tell me is, Jason, that's fine, but I get too many distractions. I got it. Some of this is discipline, meaning like if I told you what things should you tell people to come back for versus go do right now, and I was like, okay, somebody wants to talk about their camping trip. Let's do that later. I need help writing an RFI that's due in 3 days. Well, I can get to you later. Let's schedule it. The owner comes to the project site and says, I want to walk. You just drop what you're doing and you go do it, right? Somebody runs in and yells, somebody cut off their leg. We called 911. You're going to want to stop what you're doing and go address that. So you already know, based on those examples, everyone I've ever asked knows, yeah, I would delay, I would do it now. Like everyone knows what interruptions we should delay and what interruptions we should accept and do now. The problem is discipline with it. So when you're reviewing that submittal, when you're doing that pay application, when you're in focus time and you've planned your week and you're focused, you've got to train people and hold them accountable to letting you do your work. The other thing that I would say is you're like, but I've got 5 superintendents that need to ask me questions. Here's what you tell them. When you stroll into the office at 9 or 10, I'm joking. You don't have to get mad. When you come into the office at 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, you tell your superintendents, I got from 8 to 9, or worst case scenario, 8 to 9:30. That's when we're going to do our calls, when we're going to do our check-ins, and where I'm going to answer questions, or where I'm going to set up my day. That's our window. When I'm doing the other items, don't call me unless it's an emergency. If you have an emergency and you're texting, I'll assume I need to answer because you know that's my focus time. But you've got to set some structure. You got to time block your time in the week. You've got to defend it whenever you can, and you've got to get any of your interruptions time blocked as well into standard time slots. And I know that I'm making this sound easier than it is. It ain't easy. It ain't easy even to tell somebody, hey, I'm doing focus time. I'll give you an example though. There was a superintendent actually out in Hawaii, had a great relationship with the trades, and he had a funny little sign that was like, have you with this question read the drawings, read the shop drawings, read the specifications, called the architect, called your project manager, prayed about it, meditated about it, tried to figure it out yourself, blah, 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 this list. And if you've done all that, please feel free to knock on my door, right? You've got to create fun and respectful systems that will protect your time. Because here's the thing, would the people on your ship, as the captain of your ship, or the male or female as the captain of your ship, would your people rather you be busy down on the lower decks sweeping the decks or steering the ship away from icebergs? You have to have the capability and the capacity to do your job, so you have to protect your time and start time blocking. So I just want to leave you with this. There is a way with belt and suspenders methodologies to really get it to where, if you can't just reduce the amount of projects you oversee, get it to where you have more productive time. I'm going to link you to these Scrum courses to where you can be a Scrum Master and really leverage these same skills that I learned. I'm going to link you to a personal organization planner specifically for project managers. And I'm going to give you access to courses that will really enable you to really take charge of your time. You need this content. It's one of the first things you need to do. This is such an important concept. It really is derived from the fact that you, project managers, are asked to oversee so many things, so many phases, so many projects, and it reduces your productivity time because of context switching. So I hope that answers the question, how many projects can you oversee? I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.